Let's go. Secret Patrick the Programmer special unscheduled Humankind stability interface stream. This is going to be great. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how the UI, what the UI is telling you on stability interface, on stability. So I'm going to go in there and show you the results of my calculations. And then at the end of the stream, you'll be a lot smarter. Also at the end of the stream, I'm going to go off on a bit of a overview of why things are not perfect on this particular part of Humankind, and a little bit of what it possibly should be in terms of my opinion. Now, the developers can do whatever they want, but I'm going to jump right in, show you how the stability interface works. If you've looked at that interface, let's go full screen. So here we are at my favorite. Here we are at a game that I'm looking at. Here's Star City. You can see I'm at turn 145. I'm the Dutch. I'm playing average difficulty or slightly higher than average difficulty. This is the second playthrough I've done. Anyway, let's jump in and take a look at the stability interface. I'll show you what's going on. We'll click a couple buttons and see what effect those have on the interface. Now you look at this interface here for stability, and for some reason it falls right underneath the industry button. No idea why that is. Probably because that's where it fit. And then you look at the stability and boom, they give you a bunch of numbers. I'm a numbers guy. I love numbers. Numbers are great. What I like more than numbers, even more than numbers, is usable numbers. So there are no usable numbers right here. So I'll tell you how to use the numbers that are here and extract and make it usable. So the usable number that you want out of the stability is either how much excess stability I have or what's my stability deficit. Now you can go to some cities, and if the stability was 84, you would know, okay, my stability deficit is 16. In this case, I've got a city with a stability of 100. I can't figure out what my excess stability is. So I'll show you how to do that. So I'll take the long way around and go through this stability and go through the stability interface here. If you go through and look at the gains and the losses and add up the gains and subtract the losses, you get exactly 100. So I noticed that a long time ago, probably in the second or third time I looked at the stability screen. And I thought, that's interesting. I would have thought that the developers would have given you the information to find the excess stability, because that's what I was looking for. 90 anyway. So I couldn't figure out what was going on. I did, like I said, actually go through and add up those numbers: 22, 12, 115, 35, and 10. And that's exactly 100 more than 74 plus 20. I don't even have to add that up because I've done that so many times. You can do that if you want. Like I said, I'm a numbers guy. I spent my entire career putting numbers in boxes on spreadsheets and then looking at those and seeing if those made sense. And then once they made sense, give them to the boss, and then move on to the next spreadsheet. So right here, I'm going to go through the gains. I said I'm going through the gains. Let me go through the losses. It's pretty easy to figure out the losses. That's a pretty easy one. So you're losing stability from districts. So I'm losing 20 stability from the Olmec head, 18 from the market quarter, and 18 from luxuries. So I'm guessing I have 2 Olmec heads, 2 market quarters, 2 luxuries, a research quarter, and a farmer's quarter. At some point I had a 2 stability offset for my markets. I think that was earlier on when I was somebody else. I don't see it here. So some of the districts cost me 10 stability and some cost me 8 stability. So I can go in and figure that. I can go in and look at each one of those districts and show where those losses come from. And then there's the negative 20 stability from number of attached territory. I've got 1 attached territory on this city. Let me show you that. So here's the city we're looking at, Star City. You zoom out and Zoom out. Okay, so now you get to the point where you can see your empire. Having a pretty good run here, and you can see that when I move the, when I hover over the city, it'll outline the city plus the attached territories, and in my case, the attached territories are. Let me zoom out a little bit more. Okay, so the other admin center is down here. So sometimes I've seen it where it shows you that admin center when you pull out. Oh, it shows you the admin center if it's not attached, I think. Okay, so anyway, so here's my city. Here's my other district that has an administrative center. You can see right here the line. And I'm getting a little off track here, but you can see I've got one. The point is that I have one attached territory, so that's where the negative 20 comes from. So now I'm going to go to the gains. Those are much more difficult to, I shouldn't say much more difficult, slightly more complex is probably a better way to put it. So I'm going to skip over the base value and go directly to the exploitation. That's plus 12. If you go look at my territory, you can see, I'll show you this territory here, for example, is exploited and I get 2 stability. This territory here is exploited and it gets 2 stability. So I went and looked and found 6 of those tiles that were exploited and give you plus 2 stability. There's 1, 2, 3. This is not an exploitation one, so I'm going to ignore it for right now. So I'm up to 3. And then there's 4, 5, and 6, I think is down here. This exploitation? Yeah, there's 6 right there. So there's 6 tiles in the city territory plus the administrative center territory that have a plus 2 stability on an exploited tile. And now I'm trying to figure out where that plus 2 came from. I spent a little bit of time and figured it out. If you go to the religion and go to tenants and go to, I picked Be Virtuous as Water, which gives you plus 2 stability on river. So, sorry, let me make sure everyone can see that. This is where the plus 2 stability on exploited tiles that are on a river come from. Again, I find the interface in that particular screen slightly confusing, but like I said, you can go through here and find the tiles that have the plus 2 on them, and they're all on a river. So that's a good hint there. So going back to Star City, looking at the interface, the plus 12 stability from exploitation. I'll talk about this later. You want to tune in for it. Maybe it should tell you where that came from, but it's plus 12. I figured that out, and we'll move on to the next line. Although I will skip over, I've skipped over base value. I'll skip over districts because that's a little complicated. And now I'll go to infrastructure. You get 35 in this city, 35 stability from infrastructure, and there they tell you, boom, 20 from aqueduct and 15 from public fountain. 20 plus 15 is 35. That matches the 35 total stability that you get from infrastructure. It says it's from infrastructure. You can go see what's going on. And here's a case where they did something good, and they used the word infrastructure in 2 places, and they used the same word to apply to the same thing. So in the stability interface, they use the word infrastructure, and here in this interface on completed items, they use the word infrastructure. Although they just call them completed, so you have to click on this to see the word infrastructure. So now I should be able to go in here and find the 2 stability infrastructures that give me the 20 and the 15, and I can go down, I can look at this icon here. There's the plus 15 stability for public fountain. There's the plus 20 stability for aqueduct. That matches up exactly perfectly with the 35 for infrastructure there. So infrastructure, you should be able to figure out in your own game. So exploitation, in my case, came from religion. I'm sure there are other sources of it. So in your game, you'll have to try to figure out what's going on. If that number's not there, then it's 0 for exploitation. That just means you haven't picked something that makes exploitable tiles give stability. Okay, infrastructure, that's the easiest one. Ideology, a little bit tougher to figure out, but this one, again, the interface designers did something which is really great and difficult to do. They used the same word, ideology, to apply to the same concept. In this case, the ideology. So I can go to, where is it here? Here's my ideology right here. So here they call it ideologies, and there they call it ideology, but that's just the plural. So you look at this, and they're saying I get plus 10. So here's plus 5 for this ideology and plus 5 for this ideology. I get plus 5 stability for whatever ideology this is, progress versus tradition, and then I get plus 5 ideology for this one, which is world versus homeland. So just as an aside, you start off with your ideologies right in the middle, and each one of these middle ideologies gives you plus 10. So you start off, these are all in the middle. You get plus 10 for this ideology, plus 10 for this, plus 10 for this ideology, and plus 10 for this last ideology. That's 40. So the game kind of starts you off unknowingly. You get a plus 40 stability bonus. I shouldn't say unknowingly. It's kind of a hidden, well, I shouldn't say it's a hidden. It's a behind the scenes mechanic. You've got plus 40 stability, and then as you do stuff and answer questions and pick civics, it moves your ideologies around, and you move, in this case, I move from plus 10 stability on all cities to plus 5 stability on all cities, but I get plus 5 science. So that's part of the trade-off when you're answering questions on stability. You have to when you're answering questions on civics and the events that pop up, you have to worry about the effect, or consider the effect it has on your ideology. This one here, I'm getting 0 ideology, and this one here, I'm getting 0. I'm getting 0 stability for this ideology. Whereas at the start of the game, I was getting plus 10. I answered some questions. All of a sudden, I'm getting plus 5 stability and 2 influence. And now I answered a couple more questions, and I'm getting plus 4 stability, plus 4 influence, and 0 stability. So that's where, so here let me just reiterate. Plus 5 stability from this ideology, plus 5 stability from this ideology, 0 stability from this ideology, and 0 stability from this ideology. So that's 10 stability. Let me go back to Star City and show it in its beautiful splendor here. Open up the stability interface, and there right in the middle is plus 10 stability from ideology. So, nice to know those numbers, and then it's nice to know where they came from, so that you can play. You can make decisions during the game that make sense to you. So you kind of have to go through this, digging through every single freaking number on the interface, except for this infrastructure thing, like I said, where they tell you what's going on. Before you can then internalize that, and then you don't have to worry about that in the future. So, okay, so I have skipped district and base value. Now I'll do district. I have plus 115 stability from district, so I can see that from my districts here. Let's see. So I've got, this is the main plaza. That's 5 stability from the main plaza. I've got some other districts. Sorry. Districts are the ones that have these hexagonal highlighters around them, so you can go in and see where your districts are. So I've got plus 5 from this district, and then I come down here. Here's the outpost. I've got plus 2, plus 3 from those districts there. Okay, so 5. There's the admin center. Okay, there's 7. Sorry. You got to kind of walk through all the stuff. So let me start over at the beginning. For districts, I've got plus 5 from the main center. And then I go down here. I've got plus 3 from the Triumphal Arch. I've got plus 7 from the admin center. And then I've got plus 40 from this Wonder of the World, Angkor Wat. Let's see. And then I've got an Artisan's Quarter here. Sorry, here. So it gives me 2. And then another Artisan's Quarter Sorry, this is the border here. So the stuff in capital city, this 5, that doesn't count. That doesn't count towards my territory that I'm looking at. So let's do, and I've got another artisans quarter. Right here. Okay, so 5, 3, 7, 40, 2, and 2. That's your first step. You can go through and just look at these districts. You can turn on the district to help you. The only things that go to the district stability are things that are inside these hexes that show up when you do the district. Okay, and then the other thing is that I get 56 stability from luxury goods. So let me pop out and show some. Okay, so here's a luxury good. 56 stability. Okay, sorry. Let me show you where the luxury good is. Now this is hidden away. You have to go to the relation screen. You go to trade, and then I'm sorry. You can see it other places, but here you've got salt. I get 8 stability from salt, 4 stability from sage, 4 from saffron, 4 from dye, 20 from ebony, 12 from gold, and 4 from lead. So you add those up, you get 56. I think you can also find, you can also see it right here. So if you're looking at your city and you're looking at your stability and it says I get 115 stability from district, 56 of that 115 is from luxuries. Now, personally, I would have split that out and said 20, 28, 40, 44, 48, 52, 56. So that's where 56 comes from. Again, in this particular interface, it took me a long time to figure out that they've subsumed the luxury good stability bonus into the infrastructure, into the district. That seems dumb to me, but I'll talk more about that later. So 115, you get the 56, and then you go in and add up all the numbers that show up on the highlighted, on the hexes that get highlighted when you click the button in the lower right. And you can see where that comes from, the main plaza, and the main stability bonus I get is from Angkor Wat, which has a 40 stability bonus. So there's your 115. So I've gone over exploitation. That was the religious thing. In your game, it might come from somewhere else, or it might be 0. 115 from district. That's one of the more confusing ones. And it's more detailed. There's lots of different sources of that. 35 from infrastructure. That's the one that's done very well, or showing up very well on the interface. And then 10 from ideology. That's where that goes. Now, the big problem here that I found that took me, I played 145 turns of this game, and I think, 150 of the first game I played? Yeah, I think I started out with a 150 turn game just so I could go through and see what all happens. This game I'm playing a little bit more slowly, trying to figure out what all the values mean. Okay, so this stability, base value stability, is just a complete nonsense number. But what you need to do is, if that number doesn't show up, if it says, it's not going to say 0, it's just going to not show up. You're not going to see a base value in there. That means that your stability is less than 100. Why they did it that way, I don't know, but let's keep going. So what I do is, your excess stability turns out to be 40 in most cases minus this base value here. So I've got 18 excess stability. That's the number that I really want. That means I can build 1 10 stability hit district, and maybe the second one. When I build the second one, my stability will drop from 100 down to 98 because I've used up 2 extra. Why they did it that way, I don't know. But anyway, 40 minus the base value is your excess stability if you start with 100. I mean, if your stability is 100. And that base value is not going to get any bigger than 40. So if it shows up as 40, then you have 40 or more excess stability. If it's a number between 1 and 40, or 1 and 40, 1 and 39, then you've got that. Then 40 minus that number is how much excess stability you have. And they put that in there. I don't know why. But anyway, that's the reason why if you add up the gains and subtract the losses on this stability, you'll get exactly 100, because they're using that base value as a balancing item purposely to get it to 100. So in this particular game, I'm building a market quarter, which is going to cost 10 stability. So my thesis is that after this market quarter gets done building, and I haven't checked this, so this is live streaming, that my stability will still be 100, but my base value will now be 32. Wait. No, 40. Geez. Okay, so I've said that all wrong. Okay, so 40 minus this value is going to be your excess stability. So at the end of this run here, I'm going to have 8 stability. So this is going to go up, the base value should go up to 32. And then I said that wrong. If your base value is 40, okay, well, let's just run it and see what's going on here. You can see how bizarre it is. You can see how frustrated I'm getting trying to figure out what all these damn numbers mean. But I'm going to go ahead and do one thing. I'm going to go look at one other city, so you can see some slight differences in the stability user interface for a different city that's in a slightly different situation. And then I'm going to hit the intern button. The market quarter is going to get done on Star City, and we'll see what the base value is. Okay, so the city that I'm going to go look at is Amsterdam over here. Here's Amsterdam. Here's the stability. So this is, okay. Okay, if the stability is 40, then you're at 100 or below. So in my case, I'm at 86. So if you add up all these stability things and subtract all the stability gains and subtract all the losses, then you will get 86 or 91. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it's 91 right now, and it's going to be 86 next turn. So, okay, so if the stability base value is 40, that's bad. If it's somewhere between 1 and 39, that's good. You take 40 minus that number, and that's your excess stability. If it's 0 or doesn't show up on there at all, that's also good. That means you have at least 40 excess stability. So this one here, for example, has slightly different user interface. If you look at the stability from district, it says 81. Now on Star City, it just said, hey, like 115, suck it up, buddy. It's 115. You can figure out where that number came from. Here, they actually go in and tell you what's going on. This is where the 56 stability from luxury resources comes from, or that's where I figured out what was going on. I was looking at Star City and tearing my hair out. Then I happened to look over at Amsterdam, and it says stability from district, 56 comes from luxury resources. I went up to this luxury resource thing, added them up. You just heard me do it. That adds up to 56. And then when I added 56 into the district values on Star City that I could see on the map, that's where then the 115 came out of there. And I thought, okay, I know what I'm doing. So anyway, you got 56 from the luxury, and here you've got a commons quarter, an admin center, a main plaza. So let me go look for commons quarters, admin center, and main plaza. So I should have a 15 and 2 5s out here. So here's a 5. That's the main plaza. Here's a 15. This is the commons quarter. That's one of the huge advantages of this commons quarter is if you put it in between a bunch of other quarters, it'll pick up. I think it picks up on farmers. Maybe it gets 5 from every adjacent quarter. Yeah. So you look at commons quarter, and that's the 15 comes from 10 from the farmer's quarter and 5 from the maker's quarter. Here's the maker's quarter. and here are 2 farmers' quarters. So if I build another district here, my theory is that this stability will go up to 20. I guess we'll see what happens. This one's not going to be. I'm building another commons quarters. Well, that's just dumb. Okay, well, this commons quarters is going to have a stability of 10 because it's going to get 5 from this maker's quarter and 5 from this farmer's quarter. Not sure exactly why I did that, but I do need some stability, so commons quarter is a good place to add stability. Anyway, looking at the stability interface, here's the interface where it comes in and actually tells you where the district stability comes from. I don't know why they didn't. Well, I know why they didn't do it in Star Cities, because they ran out of space on the screen. Pretty annoying, but that's how they did it. Okay, so we've looked at Star City. We've looked at Amsterdam. Let me turn this off. Here's Amsterdam. We've looked at a city that has stability less than 100, and then we've looked at a city that has 100. And now, like I said, I've got a building in here that's going to cost me 10 stability. There's nothing on the interface that tells you, hey, are you going to end up with stability less than 100? My theory is I'm going to end up with a stability of 100, but my base value is going to go up from 22 to 32. Now that I know that, I come in here to Star City, and if I'm building my next district, I know, oh, I've got a 32. The district costs 10 stability. That's going to knock me down to 98. Anyway, I have comments on that particular way of putting the user interface together, but let's go ahead and do it. So again, this is all live. We shall see, but we shall see. I'm going to do the intern. Okay, so the maker's quarter is done. My stability is still 100, like I said. I think the base value is going to be 32. Boom. Okay, so turns out I'm not crazy. It turns out I am a genius, and you should listen to my words. The words that drip from my tongue, you should take them under advisement and figure that out. So now, the whole point of this exercise, which I spent quite a bit of time on, you can play the game without knowing this stuff, and then just play, and then as soon as you make a district that shows up and hits your stability, then you can go in and fix the stability. Like me, the stability is 32. I'd like to know that, okay, I'm going to have a slight stability hit. Doesn't really affect anything, but maybe I should start looking at some other stability items. If I'm going to build another, like food is -2 on this guy, probably should build another farmer's quarter. That's going to cost me 10 stability. Maybe I should build another commons quarters to offset that stability. So I could build a commons quarter. Let's see if there's a good place to tuck it in. I can't build it there. Can't build it there. Can't build it there. Oh, if I built it there, I would get 20 stability, and that would only cost me. It would knock the farming down from 3 to 2. So this is like the perfect spot. I get 20 stability, and that cost me 1 food. So this is what I would probably do next. Now that 20 stability is going to show up. Not going to increase or decrease that 100% stability that shows up there, but what it's going to do is take the base value and knock that down to 12. Now, is that intuitive? No, it's the opposite of intuitive. Unintuitive, I guess you'd call it. But anyway, so the stability, if it's 40, you're in trouble. You're right at 100, or maybe you're bigger than 100. As we saw in Amsterdam, if it's 1 to 39, you can figure out your excess stability, it's usable stability that you can play with. In this case, my usable stability is now 8. And then you can look and say, hey, if I build a commons quarters and add 20 stability, obviously I'll have 28 stability to play with. Okay, so, and then you can see, I would step through the stability on all the other items there. Exploitation, 115 from the district, 35 from the infrastructure, and 10 from the ideology. You can go in and figure out where all those things come from. This user interface It does say stability from ideology. Might be kind of nice if they went in and said +5 from world and +5 from progress. But they don't, so I should stop complaining about that, or maybe I should keep complaining about that. The district, I've already said, they should split out luxuries separately from district, but if they do throw them into district, they should sub-split it out like they did in Amsterdam, my Amsterdam city. Split out the luxury resources, and then the districts, they should list the districts. I had to go in and find every district that had a stability button in there and write them all down and make sure those numbers added up to, in this case, 115. Exploitation might have been nice for them to say that came from, well, there could be multiple sources. There could be zero sources. In my case, there's one source. It came from the tenant from my religion. And now the base value is the most, and obviously bizarre, freakish thing that they put in there. Doesn't make any sense. It's a balancing item except if it's over 40 or under 0. Just bizarre. So, okay, now you've got all the tools that you need. I'm going to switch back to here and say, whoops. Okay, so Star City. You can look at Star City. It's a beautiful city. Everything's great. I did want to talk. So I've done the part of the broadcast of the stream where I guess it's a narrow cast. I've done the part of the stream where I go in and tell you what I know about the stability and the user interface. Now I'm going to talk about what the user interface should be. The user interface should be what your stability is right now, and then either how much excess stability you have. In my case, for Star City, I have an excess of 8 at this turn, and the turn before I had an excess of 18, or what the deficit is. We can go to, let's switch over and go to Amsterdam, my other city. 86. So here it's pretty obvious that the deficit is 14. Some people maybe can't do that math right away, but it's easy to see that you need 14 stability. So what I probably should be doing is going in and building something that gives me 14 stability. This commons quarter that I'm building is going to give me 10 stability, and then I need to go in and see, I don't have any other infrastructures that give me stability. If I go to here, I look at infrastructure. I've already built this aqueduct for 20. I've already built the public fountain for 15, and then the city guard, city watch, I built for 5. So I've got 40 stability from infrastructures. Oh, 35. Wait a sec. Oh, that stability only works on the garrison, so it's useless to me because I don't have any garrisons. Not sure why. Not sure why I built that. So I've still got the fountain and the aqueduct. I'm not really sure what else I can do in this city other than building commons quarters to get the stability up. So now I have to look at empire-wide stability. And this thing here took me a while to figure out. See, that says plus 20 stability. That means plus 20 stability in the territory where it's built. So if I wanted plus 20 stability, I'd have to build this thing somewhere in this territory. So I could build it here, or I could build it up here. This is an admin center that I'm attached to. So I could, if I wanted to, I could build this stone circles up here, and they would give me 20 stability. More likely, I'd probably build them here because I'm almost certainly not going to use this particular tile. But that would give me 20 stability, but it would only be stability for, I mean, not that I'm complaining. It would be stability for these two, Amsterdam and this Nalian. Nalian? Okay. So I build it somewhere in there. I get 20 stability. I I can show you that stability showing up in some other places where I do have other stone circles. There, it's real, it exists. So I'll probably almost certainly have to build this stone circle just for the stability effect on Amsterdam alone, even though I don't need any more faith. It gives me plus 20 faith. I'm maxed out on faith. As near as I can tell on the religion, I'm pretty well set on that. Got all the tenets that I can get. So again, now I'm going to switch over into the rant portion of the stream, which is the best portion of the stream. The user interface is average. Now that you look at this and you know that 40 as the base value means that you're at 100 or less stability, this this interface starts to make a little bit more sense, but I had to dig through it. Possibly they'll change the interface, or maybe they'll explain a little bit more about this interface. I would much prefer them to change the interface. Like I said, there are only a couple things. There are only three things I want to know. What's the current stability level? What's the excess stability if the stability is 100 or more? And what's the stability deficit? The stability. So I would like to have a big number right here saying 14. And then maybe if you hover over that 14, it will give you some tooltips. Hey, build a stone circle. Hey, I looked at, you've built all the aqueducts. Hey, unhitch or unattach. Boop, boop, boop. Stability from number of attached territories. You'd have to unattach this territory. Nailing. You'd have to unattach that. That would bop your stability up. On the other hand, if you start putting hints in the pop-ups, then you're kind of telling the person how to play the game. Plus, you might miss a couple hints. Obviously, Stone Circle is not the only thing you can do. You can also build Wonders of the World, or whatever they're called. Like if you look at St. Basil's Cathedral, that gives you 40 stability. And I think that only is in the territory where it's built. Because otherwise that should say 40 stability empire-wide, or 40 stability per city. But I don't know. I'd have to go look. I've got a couple of wonders. Like Taj Mahal gives you 20 stability. I could go in and make sure that 20 stability only shows up in the territory where it's built. But anyway, I'm kind of getting distracted from my rant. This interface stability needs to be improved because I don't need all of these numbers right here in this gains and losses, and I don't need that balancing value. That's dumb. What I need is, what's my excess stability? What's my stability deficit? And then I can go from there. So if I'm looking at this and it showed me the excess stability, let me switch back over to Star City. This 100 here, there should be a number there that says 8. Your excess stability is 8. You've got 8 to play around with. 8, 8, 8. Now, the only reason I know how to do that is I can take 40 minus 32. It's dumb to make me figure out that that's the algorithm, and it's dumb to make me do that every time I want to see the stability, and it's dumb not to put it right on this interface here, right here, underneath this stuff here, which I can't really highlight because it pops up the pop-up. I've got to do math to figure out how much excess stability I have. So this number here there should be a big 8 underneath it. 8 excess stability. That's kind of all I'm asking. And then the second thing I'm asking is get rid of this base value thing. And then the third thing I'm asking is maybe make these things pop-ups or something. Sorry, like the district, the 115, maybe have a disclosure triangle there. The problem is that these are pop-ups, so you can't play around with them. I don't know. I think they kind of back themselves into a small corner on this interface here. Like you can't go into stability and ask for more depth on the district. I just happened to stumble across a different city where they had enough space on the screen to put in the details of the district, and it showed me the 56 for the luxuries. Now, should I have known that? Sure. Is it listed somewhere? Sure. Is it actually talked about in the tutorial? Sure. It's just that you're playing the game. There's a million things you got to worry about or look into. Trying to figure out how to increase or decrease the stability. 115 from the district is not super helpful for me to know where that came from. It came from, I just had a habit of every time I saw a luxury resource, I built an extractor on top of it. It just, in this particular game, I wasn't particularly constrained. Like I said, I'm doing okay in this game. I've got 4,800 fame, and the next guy's got 2,800 fame. Even in the early period, I wasn't super worried about stuff. I did have stability problems all throughout this game, because I didn't know how much excess stability I had in each city, so I would just build districts until the stability went below 100, and then I'd go, okay, better stop doing that. Which is one way to do it, because you only get, you're only going to knock your stability down to somewhere in the 90s if you do it that way. But it is kind of annoying if you're trying to plan something out. Like I can't, before I figured out this base value thing, I could not go in and queue up a bunch of districts because I wanted to make the game show me each city when it was done building a district. So right now I know I've got 8. There's some other cities where I might have 40 or 35 stability. Well, I can queue up 3 or 4 districts and take the 10 stability hit on each one of those districts, and then not have to worry about that city for another 15, 20, 30 turns. Anyway, so the rant is this UI doesn't tell you what you want to know. The UI secondarily is simultaneously not detailed enough because it doesn't give you the excess or deficit stability, and it's also not detailed enough because I'm looking at district on this particular city, and it doesn't tell me where those numbers came from legitimately because it doesn't have space to do that. The third thing is they're using pop-ups, and you can't go in this particular game and interact with pop-ups. Now on Crusader Kings 3, you can set it up so that you can set it up. Crusader Kings 3, you can set it up so you can interact with pop-ups. So they'll have pop-ups, and then you can scroll on top of the pop-ups and click yes, no, whatever. That may be a consideration. To put a disclosure triangle under district, and then if you're interested in where the 115 came from, then you scroll down and click on it, and it'll tell you, 56 from luxury, 7 from the whatever, 5 from the main plaza. You can get all that stuff figured out, and then you don't have to do that every game or every turn on every city. Do that once or twice or 4 or 5 times, and then you get an idea of what's going on. So the rant is over. The stream is ending. I appreciate your time. You're now smarter because you've listened to me. Stability needs user improvements. I do want to mention that this isn't an indictment of the developers or the user interface people at the company that made this product, Humankind. I love the game. I'm playing it quite a bit. It's pretty common when you're building a user interface, because you know everything, it's not obvious to you what needs to show up here. When you're playing the game, you need to know the excess stability or the deficit stability. When they were playing the game and their QA testers were playing the game, they're trying to see, does it crash? And they're trying to say, oh yeah, I know what's going on here. And I'm guessing there's probably a bunch of meetings on, well, how do we show this stability thing here? Well, let's put this base value thing in here. And then it just kind of spiraled out of control. They need to get rid of that base value thing, replace it with excess or deficit stability. Again, there's a million things going on when you're developing a product. I don't think this is an indictment of the developers. It's just not usable the way it is. So we'll see what happens. In the meantime, everybody go out there and keep exploiting things. I will see you next time.